Ever since I was young, I thought about becoming a merchant. When I was asked to write down my future hopes in elementary school, while the kids wrote things like general and president, I wrote that I wanted to become a merchant. The teacher thought I wasn't serious and hit my head, but I was sincere. I was thinking like that, but after receiving assurance of salvation in my first year of high school, I realized that I could no longer become a businessman. I thought I needed to become a missionary or pastor. However, when I was in my first year of college, I went to a college student retreat and the instructor explained about the church. Jesus is the head and we are the body of the church. It is said that each member has a different talent. So, they work together to create good, which means not everyone has to be a preacher. When he told me that, it was like the second gospel to me. When I was young, I dreamed of becoming a merchant. The moment I gained salvation, I thought I needed to become a missionary. Giving up a dream of becoming a businessman wasn't easy. But when I heard that story on my first year of university, I realized that I could do ministry work while working as a merchant. I've been doing things to make money my whole life. However, it did not mean that I continued to make good money. I lived in poverty for many more years, and because I failed, I ended up living in a small rented room. I started a business when I was over 50. This is my second startup, and now fortunately, things are going well and I am now the president. I lived as a salaried worker for 17 years. After working as a salary man, I opened an online department store. After running it for 3 years, since it was too ahead of its time, the company couldn't sustain itself and went bankrupt, so I had to move into a monthly rented room and was plagued by debt collectors. Yes, I experienced it all. I built an online department store. When I did that, I wanted to make lots of money and show the world who Park Han-gill was. I wanted to prove to the world who I am. I thought about that a lot. But the company went bankrupt, and even liver cirrhosis worse, and I got diabetes. I have a friend who is a doctor. He said I might have a year or at least 3 months to live. I was told that it could be, or that I might need a liver transplant. It was almost like a death sentence. I didn't have any money at that time. My body hurt and I couldn't even move. I keep lying down at home during those hard times. I read the Bible and meditate on God's Word. I spent 3 years of times like that. It was my wife who went out to make income for the family. If she earns 2 million won, 500,000 won for the rent. Both of my children were attending high school at that time. I was going through such a difficult situation where I couldn't even pay for school meals. I thought that life was coming to an end like this. That's what I thought. But even then, I knew God well. I think I truly believed Him. Please, God, help me get better from this illness. Please help me escape this poverty. I never said that kind of prayer. When I look back 10 years before, that wasn't my prayer. Earlier, the president of Jiangxin University in Busan gave a personal message. Don't just pray for personal things. That's the message I got from his preach. So, I think I didn't pray like that when I was in that difficult time. The reason I didn't pray that prayer is because I didn't reject or rebel against what God was doing. God, that's right. People like me have to make themselves sick and stay in a rented room so they don't think about anything else and the good times in the world. That's how I feel like I can meditate on God and be in front of Him. So you made me sick like this, right? That's right. God did a good job. I have this thought that God has no choice but to deal with people like me like this. I think it was going on. When I thought about it later, He said to be thankful in everything. And at that time, I realized that I was thankful. I was doing it. But many of our prayers ask, God, why are you like this? You can't do this. I'm in this situation right now. Please do something for me. In fact, don't you say these prayers a lot? Of course, they don't speak like that, but they say things like, please do this. But when you look at the content, you ask, God, why are you doing this? Don't you know what situation I am in now? Please change it like this. I'm saying these prayers too much, isn't that true? Now I think about it. So, even when I was really sick, I don't think I prayed to be cured of the illness. Yes, I lived too arrogantly. I was a person with too much desire for the world. That's why you hurt me like this. If you don't treat people like us like this, there is no solution, so you have no choice but to do this. That's how God can control me so well so that I don't do something that will be rebuked when I go to heaven. God, that's right. Thank you. I think I spent 3 years like this. That doctor friend said I only have 3 months to a year left. This is what I thought when I received that sentence. So what should I do for the remaining 3 months? While I was thinking about this, there is a saying that some people will be beaten a lot even if they go to heaven, so I thought about whether I might get beaten a lot. So, when I was called an evil and lazy servant, I thought that I could be a lazy servant and an evil servant, so I said this to God. Since I can still speak a little for the remaining 3 months, I can still walk around like this for 3 or 4 hours, so I will preach the gospel to people as soon as I meet them. Isn't it really okay if I can evangelize to about 5 people? If I evangelize to 10 people in 3 months, God will look upon me favorably. I did something wrong, but I still worked hard to evangelize in the end. Everyone around me who was worthy of sharing it did so. I don't think they would listen to me preaching to my relatives while I was sick and poor. There were products that I kept because my online department store went bankrupt. So, when we gave them away at a low factory price, people started flocking to them. At that time, when people came, we talked about the Bible, and we talked about the Bible again, and this is how Atomy started. More and more people came, and at that time, we had about 70 million won in stock, and we sold it all in 3 months. The factory owner said they had run out of product and asked if they would make more. No. I said, I can't take responsibility anymore. But if you say you won't hold me responsible, try making it, because there are people who come to buy it. In that way, we made about 100 million won worth of products and sold them in 2-3 months. In doing so, we started a company. It is truly business as a mission. I say that all of this was accomplished by God. So now, even though tens of thousands of people gather, there are about 10 pastors who spread the gospel and created the Dreamy Foundation, a missionary foundation, and work together in it. Since there are pastors overseas, we hold this kind of gospel reading meeting every year. We do this about 120 times a year. But I think the day I go to heaven is a day I greatly aspire to. At the end of last year, while taking a blood test at a hospital in Seoul, I was told that I had symptoms of pancreatic cancer and that it would be a good idea to go to the hospital and get an MRI. But I was very excited, because I thought that God was planning my life in a really dramatic way. This feeling is like the closing ceremony of the Olympic Games when a marathon runner makes his last lap around the stadium. There are a lot of spectators, and the last runner finishes the goal. I thought that if I died now, there would be quite a large audience, and I was very disappointed with my friends who didn't listen even though I preached to them. I thought about what I might write on the grave for my friends to see. I planned to write it like this: You too will become like this later. I thought about this and that a lot. But when the test results came out, they said it didn't seem to be pancreatic cancer, so I guess I'll just live a little longer and then go. I will go and do some more work for the Lord. I long for the day when I go to heaven. And when I fall asleep, I think I'm lying in a coffin. As long as I live, there will be unceasing prayer. Please help me know more about Jesus. Also, please show me more about the kingdom of heaven.